So last episode we left Tick in the happiness of the glade with Grey Cat and Bakari Arjun, and little did he know that a new fate was heading his way. We, as players, or as viewers, discovered that Fatima, and I've decided in the meantime that she's an ogre. I like the fluff in Forbidden Lands where humans and dwarfs, their offspring, sometimes turn out to be ogres, a bit unpredictable, sometimes not very bright, and that seemed to fit the bill of Fatima being tricked by Mrs. Polymer, who had convinced Fatima, who was in love with Vike, the hunter, had convinced Fatima Lockwood, that Vike was indeed in love back with her, and that he was returning from the hunting party he'd set out to bring back some wolves. He was returning to propose to her that he was in love with her. And Mrs. Polymer had to deliver the sad news to Fatima that some evil, demonic cult out in the woods had killed her beloved Vike. And in such a rage, encouraged by Mrs. Polymer, who we're discovering is not a very nice person, has set out to get her revenge on Tick and the evil cult that she's been fooled into thinking is out in the woods. And that wonderful story thread was all thanks to a mixture of the Mythic Emulator, GM Emulator, and the Adventure Crafter. Absolutely fantastic. So we are going to return to the action, and spoiler alert, Fatima decided that Fatima, in her rage, has set fire to the forest in revenge. She's tracked down the hidden glade and perhaps listened and watched. I think we learned that last time. Listened and watched and discovered. Don't need them on. And discovered this strange goblin talking to the wolves, talking to a tree in the tree, perhaps talking back. And I imagine to Fatima that this has confirmed that she's in the right place. She's found this strange cult. And to get her revenge, what else would someone do to get revenge on a forest, on a talking tree? It's to set the place on fire. So I think we should begin with Grey Cat, like we began the very first episode. Grey Cat once again licking Tick's face, waking him up. Grey Cat, get off me, Grey Cat. And then I guess it would become very his senses come round to him. Maybe even Bakari Arjun is Tick, we're in danger, Tick, get up. And perhaps Bakari is interrupted by Fatima. Yes, wake up, you bastards, wake up and face what you've done to me, what you did to my beloved. I found him out in the woods. I found what you did to him. What you monster, you monsters, what you did to him. And you're gonna pay, you're gonna burn. And at that point, I think we should draw initiative. So let's give these a shuffle. And we'll draw for Fatima first. Fatima gets a 2. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to clone. Now this is the amazing thing about Tabletop Simulator. You can do things like this. I am going to clone What's the difference between clone and copy? I'm going to clone Fatima and put her on a card, but I've still got her over there. Fantastic. And let's clone these two. So let's draw for Tick. 10. Got Tick on top of that. Brilliant, love that. And then let's draw one for Grey Cat. I guess a 4. So Fatima has drawn 2. Grey Cat's drawn 4. And Tick has drawn 10. So the lowest goes first. I think I did this wrong in an earlier episode, but after reading the rules, the lowest goes first. So Fatima, in a rage, screams, "Die, you bastards!" and comes charging forwards. She probably can get into combat straight away, but she'll use her fast action to run forwards, and then a second fast action, I suppose, to ready her club, raise it, maybe pull it off her back, and raise it above her head, ready to slam it down on Tick or Grey Cat's skull. I think by this point it's clear, looking at the map, that the other wolves have scampered, perhaps feeding into the conversation we had last time about who's leading now, who's the alpha. I think that maybe the pack's in disarray, and have abandoned Tick. Only Grey Cat, who's loyal to Tick, remains, and it's Grey Cat's turn actually. So likewise, Grey Cat will run forwards, I guess getting into melee with Fatima and doing an attack with his teeth, with her teeth. So Grey Cat, with a strength of 3 and a melee of 3, will be rolling 6 dice. So that will be 3 white. 3 red. Actually, I think I'd like to learn something new here. I'm going to try a grapple. You grab hold of your opponent, roll for melee, as no weapon can be used, can be dodged or parried. Well, Fatima has already used her action, so she's not going to be able to dodge or parry it this round. If successful, you both fall to the ground. The opponent drops any weapons they were holding and cannot move. Alright, let's try this. And that's successful. That's one success. The only action they perform is break free, which is a slow action and requires them winning an opposed melee against you. So that leaves next up is Tick. So I guess Tick is going to have to use a fast action to draw his weapon. And I think he'll use his spear this time and then move into melee here. So Fatima goes again. Now what I think I'm going to do here, actually with the fire raging, I think I'd like to roll a timer dice. A 4. So in 4 rounds, the fire will close in and burn them. So this fire is raging, it's getting higher and higher, and it's closing in. Maybe even Fatima screams that at Tick as she's rolling around on the floor. With Grey Cat. You can all burn in hell! You can all burn in hell for what you did to Vike! Maybe Bakari Arjun starting to scream. Ah! Tick! Come to me, Tick! Save yourself! Come to me! I can protect you! There's no hope, Tick! Come to me! So the only thing Fatima can do is attempt a break free, which is an opposed melee roll against Grey Cat, who's biting her leg and trying to pin her down, maybe even on top of her, and Fatima's holding Grey Cat back at his mouth, snapping at her neck, drooling on her. And we can see the flames glowing in Grey Cat's eyes as the fire spreads and closes in around them. So we've already had 1 round, there's 3 rounds to go, including this one. We know what Grey Cat's melee is, so we'll roll Grey Cat's, and he gets 2 successes. So we've got 6 strength, 2 melee for Fatima, having to beat 2 successes to get out of this grapple by Grey Cat. And we get 1, 2. So it's a draw. So Fatima's just rolled 2 successes. A draw against Grey Cat's 2 successes. And the rules state on page 49 that you've got to roll more than your adversary, and it was Fatima that was trying to break free there, so she's still pinned. So Fatima's still struggling as Grey Cat's trying to rip her throat out. But she gets an attack, a grapple attack. It says it classes like a bite, a kick, a punch. So I think she'll just kind of start squeezing his head, almost trying to crush poor Grey Cat's head. Oh, so because that was a slow action, she can't do an attack because there are no fast actions that allow her to do that. So Tick has a melee of 1 and a strength of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's hope I roll that way. So Tick, with his spear readied from the previous round, perhaps even just says, "Why?" as he plunges the spear down at Fatima. Oops, flying. I get a 3. Oh, skull and 2 skulls. That's I think. Oh, but I get 1 for my weapon. Let's hope this is the success I'm looking for. No! So no successes there. I guess Tick will save his fast action. So new round, only 2 rounds to go, and again, Bakari's screaming in agony, but still pleading to Tick. Tick! I will protect you, come to me! It's our only chance! So again, Fatima is going to try and break free, but perhaps first she looks at Tick. Why? Mrs. Polymer told me the truth. You killed my love, you killed Vike, and you will die for it. Oh, and clearly spurred by that, thinking about her beloved Vike, Fatima gets 2 successes there. So Grey Cat needs to get at least 2 successes to stop Fatima getting up and getting to her feet. Oh, no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. So Fatima, clearly enraged by seeing her beloved murderers in her face, asking her why, the cheek of it. She grabs Grey Cat, and Grey Cat whelps like he was a pup, screaming "Wah!" as Fatima pulls his fur and throws him off her, and she gets back to her feet, and I guess using her remaining fast action picks back up her club. But undeterred, Grey Cat once again tries to pounce and pin down Fatima to protect his beloved Tick. So I'll roll for a grapple roll once again. Slow action. Ooh, getting 2 successes, so once again pinning Fatima to the ground, her club stumbling out of the way again. She can't parry or dodge it because she used all her actions, picking that club back up, and once again Grey Cat's in her face, pinning her down, undeterred, fur being ripped out of his side by Fatima, but still pinning her down. Over to Tick, seeing his beloved Grey Cat. They've been together since Grey Cat was a pup, and Tick was just a young goblin running around with the pack. Hears Grey Cat howl in agony and stabs down with his spear in the hope of pinning down and killing Fatima where she lays, protecting Grey Cat. So Tick, with his short spear, gets a bonus of 1. He has 4 strength, 1 melee. He's not the greatest fighter with his spear, but he's going to try his best. Oh, yes! Getting 1 success. Oh, actually, because Fatima's prone, I get 2 extra dice. Wow. Still only 1 success. So Fatima takes 1 damage, leaving her with 5 in strength left, so I'll leave that dice there as a reminder. And I think Tick, for his fast action, will feint against Fatima, perhaps faking a move one way, and Fatima reaches out and tries to trip Tick, but he actually was heading the other way, giving him the advantage. So that means, in game terms, that we swap initiatives, and thankfully I'm liking this ability to clone these miniatures. It makes it really easy to keep track of. Tick is going to go first, but I think by this point perhaps that Tick is starting to come to senses in this blood rage against this thing he's never seen before. He's never seen anything like this, so ugly and big and violent, but he's starting to see the fire raging behind him. Maybe he momentarily looks over his shoulder and sees Bakari on fire and starts to hear Bakari's pleas. Tick, come to me, I can save you. It's too late for me, it's too late for the forest. Into my womb. So Bakari is going to try and manipulate Tick. He's only got 2 dice in this. Oh. And I believe Tick has a wits of 3. So he's rolling 3 dice. Yeah, so he can't be manipulated by this. He's not being manipulated by Bakari. He's not being moved by Bakari. He's still seeing this red mist. Maybe even says that to Bakari. No, Bakari, I must kill this thing. So with this, the last round before this entire glen, this hidden glade gets burned down, Tick, with bloodlust, isn't going to go to the protection or the offered protection that Bakari says he can give to Tick. He's going to plunge this spear down at Fatima. Melee of 1, strength of 4. no successes. He's got to push himself in this situation, hasn't he? No. So he's going to take 1 damage to his strength for pushing himself. I think Tick will keep his fast action. Perhaps for a dodge or a parry later. So next up is Grey Cat. I think for Grey Cat's turn, he is not going to be able to resist Bakari's pleas. We've established before that Bakari can talk to the animals, see through their eyes, maybe even temporarily take over them. I think Bakari is going to compel Grey Cat to save Tick, and Grey Cat suddenly releases his weight, his grip over Fatima, and turns to Tick and has never ever done anything like this before, and clamps his jaws around Tick's arm. Not too hard to draw blood, but hard enough. They've played together, they've fought together. Grey Cat knows the exact pressure not to break the skin on Tick, perhaps grabbing him round the wrist, yanks him away from Fatima and towards Bakari, pushing him with all his might, and Tick goes stumbling backwards. Grey Cat, what the hell are you doing? Trips over just as Bakari's womb once again. Imagine there's leaves on fire falling everywhere, branches crackling, the heat is unbearable, and the last thing that Tick sees is Bakari's womb closing with him inside it, and Fatima's rising up behind Grey Cat. Grey Cat staring at and whimpering, maybe staring at Tick as he disappears into Bakari's womb, and we just see Fatima's club swinging down at Grey Cat. The doors to Bakari's womb shut, and we hear a horrible whimper from outside, and the heat that was starting to blister and burn Tick's face is suddenly shut off, and it's pitch black and cool inside. And there's the reassuring voice of Bakari. No, not so reassuring this time. There's something different about Bakari's voice. Tick. He calls him his son. Never said this before. Tick, my son. We don't have much time. You need to listen to me very carefully. My time here is ending. I don't remember much of my previous life or lives, but I think this has been the happiest one here in this glade with you. You remind me of myself as a child, as a young person. You've brought me much joy, Tick, in knowing that you will survive this. Will let me end this life happy. Do as I say. Tick's like, let me out, let me save Grey Cat. I can stop this! I can kill that thing! Let me out! And again. And again, maybe a first. For Tick, he hears a voice he's never heard Bakari used before. A booming voice. No! Tick! Listen to me now! So I think for this part, I'm going to use the Forbidden Lands legend generator. We haven't generated one for this game, and it's something I wanted to give a try. So what is Bakari going to tell Tick as his dying words before he burns? This tree burns. Before Bakari, he's the tree, before he burns. So I'm going to use the legend generator. So it looks like we roll a D66. So forgive me, I'm going to roll this on my desk. 35. So during the Alder Wars, there was a 26. Moral. 41. Sorcerer. There was a moral sorcerer. Who sought 24. A friend in need. Because 64. Because of greed. There was a moral sorcerer who sought a friend in need because of greed. And travelled to a ruin. Located here. They travelled to a... So Bakari's telling him this. A moral sorcerer. To find a friend. But because of greed. That's interesting. So I'm thinking this is Bakari himself. Was he the moral sorcerer? Why was he searching out a friend? This doesn't need to make sense, actually. Bakari doesn't need to make sense right now to Tick. In fact, Tick says, Bakari, this doesn't make any sense. What are you saying? Listen. Listen. Listen, will you, Tick? The ruins are here. Beneath you. Beneath me. My roots run deep down into the ruins. Well, I guess I don't need to roll for this next box. I've established that. So in the forest, so we're already, let's say, in a forest. We're here. Don't need to roll for direction. As the legend goes, it is said that 13. He was betrayed. Oh, this is maybe why Bakari, the moral sorcerer, became a tree. Searching out his friend, found perhaps them at these ruins. What was it, this ruins? Bakari was there to save his friend, but greed got in the way. Yes, love it. I love a random table. Greed got in the way. But Bakari himself was betrayed. This is why he turned into a tree. And he's explaining this. And he's mumbled and all jumbled up. But this is the sense that Tick's getting out of it. That Bakari was this a sorcerer, and he kind of knows from his teachings that magic and fireballs is perhaps one of the exciting stories that Bakari told Tick about sorcerers, never admitting that he was such a creature himself a long time ago, but told Tick these exciting tales of some fantastic sorcerer who travelled the land when it was actually Bakari himself. So Tick's got an idea of what Bakari's talking about, but ruins below his feet, the roots growing down into it. All Tick knows is this forest. There's no ruins here. And Bakari explains that it was my downfall. I betrayed my friend, my dear friend. Let's give him a name. Let's give him a name. Who was Bakari's dear friend? Let's go to the... Let's go use the GM's Apprentice. Flip that. Emric. That's a good name. Emric. Thurston. So it's because the only one on there that I can actually say, I think. Ginetta. Thurston. Emric. Thurston. It makes me think that's not an elf though. It makes me think that's a human's name. Emric Thurston. So Emric Thurston is the name of Bakari's friend who he betrayed, and is what led to Bakari becoming a tree. Let's ask the GM Emulator. What was it that turned Bakari into a tree? Agree? Lies. Agree? Lies. It's perfect. Bakari was caught out by Emric Thurston. Emric Thurston cornered Bakari down in the ruins. They were there to get rich. It was for greed. And Bakari knew that Emric had gone there. Somehow got a message to Bakari that he needed his help. Bakari went there in the guise to save him, to save his friend, but was overcome with greed at what they found there. And we won't reveal that now. I think that might be exciting. And this is all coming out rambling to Tick. So Bakari went to save his friend, but betrayed him. Was taken over by greed, and Emric called him out on this. On his lies. Agreed lies. Bakari confesses, he agrees that yes, I wanted this treasure for myself. Above anything, above my friends, above Emric, I needed the treasure for myself, the power. But what was it? Let's draw one more card from the GM's Apprentice. See if we can make any sense of this situation. See if Bakari makes any sense. I quite like that one. Half. I don't know if you... Oh, we can zoom in. I like that. A half finished draft of a basic spell. Basic, but very effective. A curse, almost. A very... So, perhaps Emric was an amateur sorcerer. Bakari's apprentice. It's Bakari's apprentice. He was learning from Bakari, learning magic from Bakari, and this was one of his own basic, he thought, basic spells. Maybe very simple in its premise, but something new he had created. Something that took Bakari by surprise and changed Bakari, rooted him quite literally to the spot. Perhaps Emric thinking he had destroyed Bakari, but in fact had trapped him within a tree, a forever living tree, for the rest of time, trapped in this tree, no one knowing. Emric didn't know. Nobody knew until Tix, Saviour's parents, we don't know who they are, turned up and brought happiness to Bakari's life. And that's how Bakari's perhaps going to end this story, bringing it full circle back to where they are. Tix, still angry. Why are you telling me this, Bakari? Grey Cat. I need to save Grey Cat. Let's see what the treasure was. And at that location there is, or are, 64. Ha! An elven ruby. What I've learned from Forbidden Lands is that the elves have, or some type of elves, I need to read up on that, have this red ruby that in essence is their life essence. They are stored within that. They can become quite valuable. Some people take great joy in smashing them and killing the elf forever. Some people keep them as treasures. I think I've read stories about them being implanted into abominations to create horrible monsters, and where their real purpose was to rejuvenate the elf. They could be born again, I believe, because of this red elven ruby. And this is what Bakari and Emric was looking for. So whose ruby was this? Why was it so important to them that Bakari was so taken with greed that he wanted to own this ruby that had belonged to some elf? Who was this? A question for another day, perhaps. But what else is down in the ruin? But also, so there's an elven ruby, but there is also 26 cruel 44 undead. The cruel undead Ain. How well does that fit with the story so far? We know Mrs. Polymer is trying to raise the undead followers of her master to gain favour of them. She's been searching for something in the forest. That's who the ruby is, perhaps. Who is inside this elven ruby? Why does Mrs. Polymer want to raise his minions back from the dead to gain favour? with whoever this ruby is. Why did Bakari want this ruby? Who on earth is this? This is getting interesting. Who is the ruby? Who is this ancient elf? How long have they been down there trapped in this ruby? So, from just a few random rolls, we've learned that Bakari was a great sorcerer. He had an apprentice called Emric who he betrayed in the search for this elven ruby down in these very ruins below the roots of the great tree Bakari. He betrayed Emric, and Emric cast a spell, a very basic spell, very simple spell, but perfect in what it achieved, trapping Bakari there as a tree. Bakari's roots burying the entrance to the ruin, trapping the undead down there. Maybe even trapping Emric. Perhaps we'll learn that down there. Maybe that was backfired on Emric. Cast this spell cursing Bakari to live out his life as a tree. Perhaps, but sealing the exit, the entrance to these ruins. And Bakari now explains to Tick that that's his only hope. Tick, this is your only hope. Outside the forest is an inferno. Nothing will survive. I will not survive. I'm dying right now. You must go down into the ruins. Find the elven ruby. Destroy it for me. Destroy it for me, my son. Do this for me, this one last thing as I die. Once you have destroyed the ruby, follow my roots. I feel them. There is an underground stream down there somewhere. I've fed on it for decades, centuries perhaps. It must lead out of there. Find it. Perhaps finally Tick is starting to fathom what's happening around him, that maybe even hears it in Bakari's voice, that Bakari's dying. He's heard different voices from Bakari in just these past 5 minutes, the booming, terrible, powerful voice, and now the desperate, slowly dying, fading away voice. Maybe he just comes in and out. He thinks Bakari's gone, and then Bakari says something else. And Tick, maybe even never cried before, but he's in tears now. Don't leave me, Bakari. Please don't leave me. There must be a way. Please don't leave me. Tick, hysterical. Please don't leave me alone. I don't want to be alone, Bakari, please. Tick thinks Bakari's gone. And then a faint voice, a chuckle. Oh, my dear Tick. I'm not going to leave you alone. I'll always be with you, in some way. Now sleep. When you awake, you will not be alone. And let's fade to black. Maybe Bakari uses the last of his power to make Tick sleep. And I think I'd like to end the session with Tick once again waking to the rough feel of a tongue licking him awake, and for a moment he startles awake with joy thinking the whole thing was a dream, and that he's going to find Grey Cat once again. They're in the glade, happily licking him away, but no, he can smell the fire. It's pitch black. He can smell the smoke, can still hear the crackling of wood from outside of Bakari's womb, and he knows, he can feel it. Bakari's gone, Bakari's dead, the tree's dead, but he hears a little whimper and he feels a draft on his face, but a little whimper in the dark below him, and he reaches his hand down and feels fur, and then a lick and a little nibble of sharp teeth, and as Tick's nocturnal eyes come round and adjust, gives them a rub, and down there is a little wolf cub, but like no wolf cub he's ever seen before. And this wolf cub has a red ruby embedded in its chest, and Tick looks down at this little wolf pup, this little wolf cub. Bakari? And all the wolf pup does is the wolf pup just turns its head like little puppies do. Its ears prick up in some kind of recognition, and Tick just smiles and picks up the little pup and hugs it, and turns around and sees that the draft that was blowing against his face is a staircase, stone staircase, moss, cracks everywhere with tree roots, Bakari's tree roots, maybe blackened, even as the trees died and burned, they've started to blacken. But Bakari's, or what was Bakari, the tree, has cracked all the stones. Some of the steps are maybe broken. It wasn't there before. Tick's been inside Bakari's warm nest of a womb several times, even seen other pups and cubs protected in there. Never seen one like this before. Seems to answer to the name Bakari. Has a red ruby embedded in his chest, and he's certainly never seen stairs leading down before. Bakari's story about a ruin is true. And that's where we will end today's session, I think.